She planned perfect weddings, but every couple died 10 years later. A cursed veil, a broken vow, and a deadly secret buried beneath lace and love. This is the story of Amina Ray, the wedding planner from hell. Hello family, enjoy this relaxing moment with AfriTales 38. Remember to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comment section, and generously hit the like button because it means a lot to us. Please relax and enjoy as we dive in the story. Chapter 1, The Whispering Bride. There was a name whispered in luxury wedding circles, Amina Ray. No one had ever seen her. No interviews. No photos. No behind-the-scenes footage. Nothing. Yet, her events were legendary. Couples waited 2 years just to get a consultation. Guests who attended her weddings came back telling stories that felt more like fairy tales than real-life experiences. Silk-dripped ceilings, glowing lakes filled with lotus flowers, orchestras that played as if angels were whispering into their instruments. She wasn't just a wedding planner, she was a myth. But something was off. Something no one talked about out loud. Behind closed doors, brides murmured strange things after the celebrations. Some said they'd seen shadows in their wedding photos. Some claimed they received anonymous letters warning them about their 10th anniversary. Others disappeared entirely from social circles after a decade of marriage. Quiet divorces. Sudden deaths. Unexplained tragedies. Still, the bookings never stopped. Amina's clients didn't meet her directly. Everything went through her assistant, Mr. Thorne, a tall, cold-faced man with silver hair and unsettlingly polite manners. He spoke softly, but you listened. You didn't ask twice. You didn't negotiate. And once you signed her contract, there was no turning back. In the city of Port Azure, a bustling coastal hub of art, wealth, and secrets, no one was more excited about their wedding than Lina and Kelechi. She was an up-and-coming poet. He was a gentle architect with a big laugh. Their love was soft and loud at once, one of those stories that made strangers smile. Their dream. A wedding that felt like a storybook. Their planner. Amina Ray. It started like magic. Mr. Thorne met them at a candlelit rooftop cafe with a view of the city skyline. The lady sends her greetings, he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. She believes in beauty. In perfection. In happiness. He handed them a thick envelope sealed with gold wax. Inside was a velvet card with silver lettering, a list of vows, colors, roles, and a single warning in red. In return for 10 years of bliss, the price would be paid. Lina laughed nervously. Some kind of poetic branding. Kelechi nodded. Must be part of her mystery. They signed. 10 months later, the wedding was the event of the decade. Champagne waterfalls. Floating lanterns. A choir that sang in 5 languages. The bride wore a shimmering gown that shifted colors with the sunset. The groom cried when he saw her. People wept from the beauty. On every table sat a custom gift, a silk veil for the bride's female guests, and a silver blue tie for the men. Mr. Thorne explained it was Amina's signature. She sends a part of herself with every couple, he said. What no one noticed was how tightly Lina's veil clung to her skin when she put it on. Or how Kelechi's tie seemed to tighten on its own when he blinked too long. In another part of the city, a young journalist named Mira Owusu watched the wedding clips online. She'd lost her sister, Solina, 10 years ago to a car crash that had made no sense. It happened the day after her anniversary. The crash had no cause. No drunk driver. No mechanical failure. Just sudden silence. Selina had used a wedding planner. Mira remembered the name only once, Amina Ray. And now she was back, again, making headlines. Again, with smiles that looked perfect. Again, with couples glowing, just before their lives were unknowingly set on a countdown. Mira opened a file marked, Unsolved Patterns. Selina wasn't the only one. There were 12 couples. All had weddings planned by the same mysterious figure. All lived perfect, storybook marriages for exactly 10 years. And on or just after their 10th anniversary, something went horribly wrong. Car crashes. Fires. heart attacks, suicides. Different causes. Same result. Always 10 years. Back at the wedding, as Lina and Kelechi danced under hanging orchids, a wind stirred. Mr. Tone stood at the edge of the crowd, looking up at the moon, murmuring something in a language no one recognized. Behind him, a woman in a veil stood on the rooftop above the ballroom. Her face hidden. Her hands pale and still. Watching. Waiting. And far away, Mira clicked enter on her computer. A new article began to form. She smiled grimly. She was going to find Amina Ray. And she was going to break the curse. Chapter 2, The Lady of the Lake House. Mira Owusu wasn't new to dark stories. She'd worked as a crime journalist in Port Arthur for 6 years, seen bodies pulled from rivers, and watched men smile while lying through their teeth. But nothing had ever haunted her like Solina's death. And now, the name Amina Ray had come back, this time with more questions than answers. She stared at her investigation board, strings, photos, marriage certificates. One photo was circled 3 times in red, Solina and her husband, Mark, on their wedding day. The same gift bag on every chair. The same veil and tie. Just like the ones at Lina and Kelechi's wedding. Coincidence? Mira no longer believed in those. She had a name. Now she needed a location. Across town, Lina woke up from a dream. Not a dream, a nightmare. She was standing in a room full of brides. Their faces were blurred, their gowns dripping red. They were all whispering the same thing. Don't forget the price. Lina sat up, heart pounding. Kelechi was fast asleep beside her, his hand curled over hers like always. She kissed his cheek and got up to get water. That's when she noticed the box. A sleek black box sat on the edge of the kitchen counter, tied with a crimson ribbon. Neither of them had ordered anything. She opened it. Inside was her wedding veil. But this time, it was stained, a perfect, blood-red handprint across the lace. Lina screamed. Myra's search led her to the edge of Port Arthur's northern coast, where forgotten mansions sat hidden behind black iron gates and thick hedges. Rich people lived here, people who paid to be unseen. She found a lead, a delivery driver who swore he once dropped off fresh roses at a place called the Lake House, a mansion surrounded by steel, glassy water and guarded by a man with silver hair and gloves. Did you see the woman? Mira asked. The driver shook his head. No one sees her. But you can feel her. Cold air. Smells like old flowers and something burnt. She followed the directions and found the lake house just as he described, elegant, silent, and eerily still. She didn't walk up to the door. She circled the back and saw portraits through the windows. Huge paintings of brides. Each one smiling, wearing the same veil. Same tie on the groom beside them. Dozens of them. She took a photo. The shutter sound echoed too loud. Suddenly, the lights inside the house flickered. Then one turned on upstairs. Mira ran. Later that evening, Lina met with her best friend Anya, a fashion designer who had once worked with celebrity clients. Anya didn't laugh when she saw the veil. She didn't even touch it. I've seen this kind of energy before, she said. This isn't fabric. This is anchored. Something is tied to it. Like a spirit. Lina asked, half joking. Anya didn't answer. Instead, she pulled out an old leather-bound book filled with wedding traditions from around the world. She flipped until she found a symbol that looked like the lace pattern on Lina's veil. The mark of Erewa, the binding knot. An ancient myth. A deal made by someone seeking beauty and success, paid with years of love and life. 10 years. Then a debt is claimed. Meanwhile, Mr. Tone stood before the fireplace at the lake house, watching the flames. Behind him, Amina Ray spoke for the first time in months. Her voice was soft. Almost broken. Another bride is hearing the whispers, she said. Tone nodded. She's dreaming of them already. Amina turned toward a hidden mirror, the reflection flickering. She wasn't young. Or old. Her face changed as she moved. Beautiful, then tired, then something empty. I wanted them to know love, she whispered. Before the world took it away. I wanted them to have what I lost. She pulled a faded photo from a drawer. It was her, before the curse. Before the whispers. Before vengeance. Her own wedding day. She wore the same veil. Mira reviewed her photos that night. Her hands trembled as she zoomed in on one of the portraits. There, in the corner, was her sister, Selina. Alive in the painting. Smiling. Frozen. She wasn't the only one. Mira marked every couple she traced on her list, 15 now, and every single one had a portrait in that house. Amina isn't just planning weddings, she whispered. She's collecting them. She booked a meeting with Mr. Thorne the next morning. She wouldn't go as herself. She'd go as a bride. The bride in the mirror. Mira had never worn a wedding dress before. Now she stood in front of a full-length mirror, dressed in white lace, pretending to be a bride for a meeting that could cost her life. The dress felt tight. Not just in size, but in pressure. Like it knew she was lying. She'd used a fake name, Rina Faye, a photographer marrying a diplomat. She submitted her love story to the official Amina Ray website, using a fake email and number. 2 hours later, she got a reply. Congratulations. The lady accepts your request. You will meet Mr. Thorne tomorrow. Noon. The glass hall. Mira knew this was her only shot. At the same time, Lina was spiraling. She hadn't told Kelechi about the veil. Or the dreams. Or the whispers she now heard every night before falling asleep. They said her name. They called her next. She'd also started seeing shadows in their wedding photos, long, thin outlines standing behind them. Watching. Smiling. She reached out to Anya again, desperate. I need help. I think something's coming for us. Anya didn't hesitate. Then we find out what it wants. The next day, Mira arrived at the Glass Hall, an exclusive event venue on a high cliff overlooking the ocean. It shimmered like ice in sunlight. Perfect. Too perfect. Mr. Thorne was already there. He greeted her with that same cold politeness. Miss Faye. The lady sends her blessings. She forced a smile. I'm honored. They walked through empty halls filled with wedding decorations. Thorne spoke about themes, colors, and ceremony structures. But Mira wasn't listening. She was looking for doors. Hidden rooms. Clues. Then she saw it, a small black book on a pedestal, protected by glass. She stepped closer. Inside were names. Dozens. Wedding dates. And expiration dates. Selina Owusu, married, April 3, 2014. Expiration, April 3, 2024. Cause, car crash. Myra's chest tightened. Her hands shook. Or, Mr. Thorne said behind her, his voice suddenly flat, curiosity is a dangerous trait. She turned. He smiled this time. But his eyes were cold as winter. You are not a bride, Miss Owusu. Back in the city, Lina and Anya visited an old folklore scholar, a woman named Mama F who lived near the city's river temple. Her home smelled of herbs and thyme. After hearing Lina's story, Mama F lit a candle and closed her eyes. She chanted softly, then opened a dusty chest. Inside was a hand-drawn map and an amulet shaped like a knot. This curse is not new, she said. Amina Ray was once Amina Ometeo, a village girl betrayed by her husband to be and left to die the day of their wedding. Heartbroken, she drowned herself in the wedding lake. Lina gasped. That's why she stays near water. Yes, Mama F nodded. A spirit bound by sorrow. But someone found her spirit and made her an offer. Power. Beauty. Worship. In return, she must share her pain. Over and over. Through other couples, Anya whispered. Yes, the old woman said. She gives 10 years of perfect love. then takes it away. So they feel what she felt. Mira didn't run. She stood straight and faced Mr. Thorne. You kill them, she said. You give them weddings, and 10 years later, they die. We do not kill, Thorne replied. We deliver joy. Joy with an end. That is the contract. People don't know they are signing their lives away. They do, he said, walking toward her. They just don't read. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small silver pin, an emblem shaped like a knot. The same one she'd seen in the veil design. We do not force love, he said softly. We simply guarantee it. Then he leaned close. Now that you know, you have two choices. Forget this, or join it. Myra's mind raced. Join. What did that mean? Later that night, Lena returned home to find her wedding dress spread out on the floor. No one had touched it in months. And now, it was lying flat, arms out like someone had worn it, then disappeared. She fell to her knees and screamed. Kelechi rushed in. What's going on? He asked, holding her. Lena finally told him everything. The veil. The dreams. The whispers. The curse. He didn't laugh. He didn't doubt. He just held her tighter. We break it, he whispered. Together. At the lake house, Amina Ray sat in front of her old mirror, brushing her hair. Behind her, a candle flickered. Inside the flame, faces twisted and whispered. She turned and whispered, they are coming, aren't they? Mr. Thorne stood at the doorway. One knows your past. One has your mark. The others are waking. Amina nodded. I gave them beauty. Love. Light. And they still want to destroy me. Her reflection cracked. She stared into her own broken eyes. Then let them come. 10 years of silence. Rain pounded the streets of Port Asher. It had been a week since Lena and Kelechi faced the truth. A week of watching shadows. Listening to whispers. Checking the calendar again and again. Their 10th anniversary was exactly 6 days away. Lena couldn't sleep. Neither could Kelechi. Every night the whispers got louder. Sometimes they both saw things at the same time, shapes moving in mirrors, hands reaching out from walls, reflections that didn't match their movements. This curse is real, Kelechi finally said. And it's closing in. So they made a plan. They'd find the woman who started it all. Mira had survived her meeting with Mr. Thorne. Barely. He let her go, for reasons she still didn't understand. Maybe Amina wanted her to spread fear. Or maybe she wanted her to return, curious, broken, desperate. But Mira was done being scared. She reached out to Lena through a message board where wives once shared luxury wedding reviews. Lena's name had appeared years ago, full of glowing praise for Amina. Mira messaged. Your planner gave you a gift that doesn't belong to you. It's killing people. I know how to stop her. Meet me. Lena replied in minutes. Tell me when and where. They met at Moonlight Cafe, an old, quiet shop in the back streets, where the air smelled like cinnamon and safety. Mira looked tired. Lena looked haunted. Your sister was one of them? Lena asked softly. Mira nodded. She loved her husband so much. Their life was perfect. And then, 10 years passed. Gone in a second. Lena pulled out the stained veil. Mira froze. That's it, she whispered. The mark. They talked for hours. Swapped stories. Shared pain. And made a decision. They had to go back to the lake house. The next morning, Kelechi insisted on coming. She came after both of us, he said. She marked both of us. I'm not letting you face this alone. Honor joined too, holding a protective charm Mama F had blessed. Together, the four of them drove to the outskirts of Port Asher, where the trees grew thick and the road turned to gravel. Fog rolled in as they approached the lake house. It looked like a dream and a nightmare. Still. elegant, cold, like it had been waiting for them. Inside, Amina Ray stood by a tall window, her hands folded. Her long veil brushed the floor like smoke. She had been watching. Waiting. She turned to Ton. Bring them in. The door opened without anyone touching it. The group stepped into the grand hall. Portraits lined the walls. Brides and grooms. Beautiful. Smiling. Frozen in time. Mira whispered, "These are her trophies." Amina stepped forward. She was both beautiful and terrifying, eyes too deep, skin too smooth, voice like silk soaked in sorrow. "You came to destroy me," she said. "But you don't understand." Lina stepped forward. "You cursed us." Amina tilted her head. "No. I gave you love. I gave you everything. You were happy, weren't you?" "That doesn't make it right," Kelechi growled. "You take it away? You kill it." "I don't kill," she said softly. "I collect. I remember. I make sure no love fades before its time." Her voice cracked. "My love faded. It was taken. Burned. Forgotten." She raised her hand. The walls shimmered. The portraits moved, each couple reliving their happiest moment over and over. Laughing. Kissing. Dancing. "They live here now," Amina whispered. "In a perfect loop. Forever." Mira stepped forward, holding her sister's photo. Selina didn't want this. She wanted her real life. Not a perfect lie. Amina's eyes burned. "You think I wanted this curse? I begged for peace. But they hurt me. He left me at the altar. They laughed while I drowned. So I made a new altar. And I filled it with love." "You filled it with death," Lina said. A long silence followed. Then Amina looked to Mr. Ton. "It's time." The door slammed shut. The air turned cold. Candles blew out on their own. The portraits began to whisper, calling names. Lina. Kelechi. Mira. Onya. Each name echoed louder, overlapping. Suddenly, the floor opened beneath their feet and they fell. They landed in a black chamber filled with water just below the surface, only ankle deep, but it pulsed like a heartbeat. A single mirror stood at the center. Amina's reflection smiled from inside it, but her body stood outside. "You want to end this?" she whispered. "Then look into the mirror. Face what I faced." Mira stepped forward. The glass rippled. She saw Selina, gasping for breath, trapped in a car, her hand against the window, her eyes looking straight into hers. "I couldn't save you," Mira cried. Selina's voice echoed faintly, "Then save them." Lina stepped next. She saw herself, 10 years into the future. Standing alone at a grave. Crying. Holding Kelechi's tie. "No," she said. "Not again. Not this time." She turned to Amina. "We don't want your curse. We want our love back." Amina's face finally broke. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but they were black, like ink. "I never wanted to be forgotten," she whispered. "And you won't be," Mira said, holding out her sister's photo. "But let them go." Kelechi placed his hand on the knot amulet. It pulsed with light. The water shook. The mirror cracked. Amina let out a soft cry as her veil unraveled into mist. The portraits burned into light. Whispers turned to silence. Then, peace. The group woke up outside the lake house. No one else was there. The house was gone. Like it had never existed. But the sun was rising. And for the first time in weeks, Lina and Kelechi held each other without fear. Mira held the photo of Selina. And smiled. The final vow. It had been a month. No more whispers. No more shadows. The curse was broken. Lina and Kelechi celebrated their 11th anniversary with a quiet picnic by the sea. No lavish decor. no guests. Just peace. Just the sound of waves, soft laughter, and love that still felt real. For the first time in years, Lena breathed without fear. No veil. No tie. No countdown. Just a new beginning. Across the city, Mira sat on a park bench, watching the sunrise. She held a framed photo of Solina, the real one, not the one from the lake house mirror. Her sister's smile still warmed her heart, but now there was no guilt. Only love. Mira had written a story. The full truth. The Lady of the Lake House, a curse, a legacy, a choice. It went viral. People were shocked. Some refused to believe it. Others dug up old photos, old wedding contracts. A few women came forward saying they too had once received the veil. But there was no lake house now. It had vanished like smoke. Still, Mira left one line at the end of her article. If she ever returns, don't take the veil. Anya opened a small shop in the heart of Port Asher. She sold wedding dresses. But her dresses didn't follow trends, they followed truth. Each gown came with a message stitched into the lining. Love is not something you borrow. Or steal. Or trap. It must be grown, nourished, and freed. Her designs became famous for their beauty and their protection. People said brides who wore Anya's gowns never faced misfortune. And what of Amina Ray? Some say she was just a myth. A story made to scare or thrill. Others believe her spirit passed on, now at peace. But one rainy night, a woman walked into a hidden tailor's shop in a forgotten alleyway. She wore black and smelled of old roses. I'm looking for something special, she whispered. A gift. For a bride who wants to be remembered. The tailor didn't ask questions. He handed her a box. She smiled, almost kindly. Then turned and vanished into the mist. Back in her home, Lena prepared her vows again, not for an anniversary, but for a renewal. She wanted to start over. Clean. Pure. She wrote, I vow to love without fear, and to trust that love is enough. I vow not to borrow beauty, or chase perfect moments, but to build real ones. With you? Kolechi smiled when he read it. He wrote back, I vow to protect the story we create, not the one others try to sell us. They sealed their new vows in a wooden box, and buried it beneath a tree planted on their wedding day. The roots were stronger now. The tree had bloomed. That night, as Lena prepared for bed, she looked into the mirror. Her reflection stared back, calm and clear. But just as she turned away, something flickered. In the corner of the mirror. A small, black ribbon. Tied in a perfect knot. It was gone when she looked again. But Lena didn't flinch. She placed her hand over her heart and whispered, Your story ends here. And turned off the light. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe and share.